Well, I've got to say, I have just seen this production and it is so special and so inclusive. How important is it that people see this version of Romeo and Juliet, Craig?
It's massively important. I think we're learning more and more how important representation is in society, seeing disabled people, neurodivergent people, deaf people, and that's our cast, a real mix of people, and those are the audiences that we're trying to attract and bring into the theatre.
And there was a real mix in the audience, and I think, as you say, it's important for people to be seen. There's so many ways that you do it, not with just the actors though. Explain what people are going to get when they come in, Irmina.
Well, we have BSL integrated interpreters such as myself and Craig, and then you have audio description, for example, some added background sentences so people know what's going on stage, and then we've got creative captions, so it's a real good mix.
And for me, I mean, I'm a hard of hearing presenter. I wear a hearing aid, and I think I got a sense of a full understanding, do you know? And it was really clear with everything that's going on, and you think because there's so much, it would be kind of cluttered, but you don't get that. It really feels really easy.
That's brilliant. That's fabulous feedback. And I think there's a way this show, the audience are able to edit their own performance in lots of ways. So if you miss something that someone said, you can sort of refer back to the captions, check that. Maybe the signing, you know, here this theatre, the challenge of performing in the round is quite difficult for sign language. So you might miss a bit of signing and have to look at the captioning, or, you know, like yourself, if you miss something that's been spoken, maybe look at the signing. You know, there's so many ways that you can get the details and the feeling, the atmosphere of this show.
And you guys are very, very busy. You take on a number of roles, and it really works because you seem to have a connection with the other actors that are on stage who are playing the same parts of you. I mean, you know, we see you as Lady Capulet, we see you as the nurse. What's it like?
It's hard work, but enjoyable, I would say. You really have to get to learn about the characters and then really learn from the actors on how they deliver it, and then use that to inform our interpretation or the translation of the text firstly, which is one step, and then to embody that and perform it on stage. So it's an interesting process, I would say, but creates beautiful art, as you saw today.
Absolutely. And, you know, I have learned level 1 of British Sign Language. So I'm at the start of my journey, and I think what I've learned as well is the syntax in sign language is very different. So again, the translation of something like Shakespeare must have took a long time, and a long time for you guys to learn.
It's a long process. So in this kind of work, it's really important for it to be deaf-led. So there's a brilliant BSL consultant, Darryl Jackson, who worked with the director, Jenny Seeley, before we even came into rehearsal, and they looked at the text, they were sort of working out the translation. You know, there's such visual concepts in Shakespeare. The poetry is so visual, really. So it's taking the understanding of that and then translating it into BSL. So often using the same kind of images, but telling it in a different way. And you're absolutely right, BSL's got its own grammar structure, its own word order. So it's fitting it all to those grammar rules as well. And then breaking the rules as well. As Shakespeare breaks the rules in English, you know, it's really important for the deaf community to have signing break the rules and play, you know, be playful with the language. That's really important to retain that in the signing world.
And I was thinking as well, I mean, there's some words in there that must be new to sign. Have you had to create new words, you know, new signs for words?
That's a good question. I'm going through the script in my head now.
There was one like green Carillion near the end or something. I was trying to write it down going, that's an odd one to sign. Are you able to kind of like play with that, and have you been able to with the direction?
Yes, absolutely. I mean, with BSL, you always go for context and meaning. So I'm on Google, having a little Google. What does that mean? What does Shakespeare really mean? And then we use the BSL vocabulary to whatever depth we need to be able to give the correct context and meaning across.
Do you think we are becoming a place now where we're seeing more of accessibility in theatre? Because, you know, theatre should have that feeling. It should be for everyone, shouldn't it? Do you think we're getting there now, Craig?
We're on the right path. We're progressing towards full access, but we haven't got it there yet, which is why it's so important for these kind of relationships with theatres, Theatre by the Lake, Grey Eye. These partnerships of really trying to push the boundaries of what is accessible theatre, because for so many regional houses, for them access is still having one caption show out of a long run, having one British Sign Language interpreter come in for one performance. That still frames our concept of access in theatre particularly. So it's really interesting and important looking at embedded access. I said about the audio description, that concept of like embedding audio description into what's spoken, so that often an audience won't even realise it's audio description. You can sometimes just add one or two words more and it will unlock it all for a blind or visually impaired audience. And so having that right back when you start pre-production, so it's not an add-on once you've opened, it has to be right in sort of the bones and body of the show. That's what we're not yet achieving nationally.
No, it'd be brilliant to see that happen though, wouldn't it?
Yeah,
and I
absolutely.
think, making strides. What has been the reaction from the audiences then so far? What's that been like for you guys?
It's been really mixed, but I think overall people are quite stunned by the fact that this can actually be done and be done well. I mean, Jenny Seeley's a fantastic director and also allows us to freely work with her and convey ideas that maybe she hadn't thought of, or as a group, how to really make it special. So I think that's now seen by the audience. And I spoke to a few from the audience afterwards and they're like, it's the best show. And we're like, we know. We know.
I think what you get from it is that sense of anything is possible, anybody can do anything, because we're all unique people and we're celebrating that uniqueness. So yeah, thank you guys for this production, and it's on here until October. I think it's the 5th of October.
I think so, yeah.
You're moving on, aren't you?
Yeah, we transferred to Keswick, Theatre by the Lake, and yeah, a whole new challenge. So we're not in the round at the theatre there. It's going to be end on Cross Arch. So again, we're going to have to change things up, look at how we work this show. But yeah, new challenges.
Brilliant. Right, you need to go and see it. It's fab.
Absolutely.